Are you considering career in investment banking but aren't completely sure of where to start or how to find out if it's for you? Well, today I'm going to be talking about some of my favorite resources, the best ones that really helped me kind of hash out whether or not I even wanted to try this in the first place. And I want to share it with you because there are a lot of great people out there who are just putting out information for free, and I want to make sure that I pass it along to you as well. I still remember being in college and just being so unsure of whether or not I even want to pursue this. I heard about the hours and I heard about kind of what it's like, but I didn't know how to make that firm decision. I will talk to you about one, resources that helped me decide that I wanted to get into investment banking in the first place, and two, once you've decided that, what to use in order to actually get there. Essentially, breaking into Wall Street. Everything will be listed in the description so you don't miss out on any. Alright, so let's talk about one of my favorite ones first, and this is Mergers and Inquisitions, which I think is pretty clever because it's a spin on mergers and acquisitions. This is a blog that was started by someone who was an investment banking analyst and decided to write about his experience. Not only does he talk about investment banking itself, but he also dives into now an array of different industries such as private equity, venture capital, growth equity, and just stuff like that. So it's really nice to be able to see and be able to compare across those. So when I was doing my own research and going through that phase where you're just trying to find out as much information as you can about the industry, this was one of the best resources. It helped me solidify my decision in college to start recruiting. It is also very entertaining to read. He pretty much publishes like a new blog post every few weeks or so, and it's always very entertaining and a very easy read. A great resource for studying for technicals is Breaking into Wall Street. I'm pretty sure this has like a list of, I think, 300 or was it 500 questions that are most commonly asked during the interviews, and so going through those and kind of having a sense of what could be asked was extremely helpful. I would suggest using this when it comes to recruiting, and also if you have friends who are studying for investment banking together, if you guys could test each other on those questions, I found was extremely helpful as I was going through the recruiting process in college, and would highly recommend. And ultimately, I think it gave me enough information, along with some other resources that I'll talk about, to help me get past the Superday and ultimately get to that internship offer. Let's move on to some other websites. Another one that I really like is Macabacus. I could be completely butchering it, so I'm just gonna put it here. Macabacus is better when it comes to modeling. I think that gives you like a whole 3-statement model and stuff. When I was learning about investment banking, yes, I had taken finance classes and I knew some stuff related to what the job would be like, but I wasn't very keen on the lingo yet. So this really breaks it down into its most simplistic terms. And another really good website is Street of Walls, again with a very simple language. But Street of Walls is also very, very helpful and really shows you how to say, walk me through your resume and the behavioral stuff, or more technical questions about like, how do you calculate free cash flow? I think actually Street of Walls would be the easiest to understand, so I would start with that to get like a very general broad sense, and then after that moving on to Macabacus in order to further like deepen your understanding of the industry. Sometimes you may be asked to talk about what deals you're interested in and what in the news has been interesting to you. My go-to place for these when it came to interviews was Pillars of Wall Street. They have a section called Deal of the Week, and it also not only talks about like the transaction overview and the valuation, I think it talks about the rationale as well. So it's like very interesting to see, and also the deal outlook for the future and how it really affects those companies. It's just like a perfect summary for when you need a couple deals in your back pocket before you go into the interview. I would just make sure you kind of know some of the details like the valuation, the rationale, and just like the general overview, and just be prepared to answer potentially any follow-up. So don't just read the actual deal summary itself, just do a little bit more research on it, like look at the press release, etc., listen to the transcripts maybe, just to have a little bit more background than just a simple sheet of paper. Another amazing website, and I love this one because it's just so resourceful, it is a forum called Wall Street Oasis, or WSO. And it's really cool because, you know, they talk about how it's like monkey business, which I'll discuss as well, or you're an Excel monkey or PowerPoint monkey as an analyst. It kind of does like a little bit of a play on Wall Street metaphors in terms of like your rankings. So I think you start off as like a chimp or something, and if you earn enough points or if people like upvote your comments and stuff, you can become like a human basically. It's a really great resource if you have specific questions, or you can hear people talk about things like group placement. I've personally found a lot of great advice on there, and this is because people like managing directors will even go in this forum and type up things that they wish they had from their analysts or stuff like that, and I will also include my favorite ones and discuss those as well. Let's talk about some books. Very famous author named Michael Lewis has come out with a lot of finance and books, so I will just suggest a few. And yeah, I think even though the industry has shifted a little bit, at least those books is a very fun and informative way to read about finance industry in general and just have like some sense of what goes on behind that world, you know, realm of finance. Books like Monkey Business is also really famous. If you want to really geek out and truly be like the OG analyst who's just a complete hardo, you can read Rosenbaum and Pearl, and it's called Investment Banking, Valuation, Leverage Buyouts, and Mergers and Acquisitions. This is going to be like your Bible, basically, of all like the most useful things, and just like getting a very, very in-depth understanding of the industry, how things are valued, and why, like for example, you use like CAPM model or beta, unlevered beta, stuff like that. I think this will go through in very extreme detail. Now, this will probably be helpful if you didn't get a chance to take a finance course in college, but even if you did study undergrad business, this is also very helpful. Granted, it's pretty thick in terms of a book, and it might be pretty difficult to finish, but I know of some analysts who would just have it at their desk, so when they first got staffed on, say, like an LBO, they would have some resource to flip through and really understand the details, the granular aspects of, say, a leveraged buyout. Those were the resources that I found to be the most helpful. If you have any others, please make sure to list them below as well.